How's it going, people? Welcome back to AFTV and another episode of Box to Box. The season is about to get started, but I just want to say a massive thank you for all the love shown to the first ever Box to Box last week with me and Tobes for the Tottenham preview. I'm here today with a very special fan, Billy Grant, also known as Billy TheBee from Besotted with a double E.
That's right, Besotted. B as in Brentford, TheBee, Besotted, man.
Come on, and you do video content, blogs,
That's
vlogs,
right.
all of that.
But we've been going for a long time. We've done fanzine, paper fanzine, video blogs, blog, and we're a podcast as well. We've done 800 odd episodes of our podcast as well, so we've been going quite strong.
So you're deep in this.
That's right, mate. You know what I'm saying? We've been going for a long time. We've never been in the Premier League. We've always been in the lower leagues, Championship, Division 1, Division 2. That's what we know, but this is a new area for us.
You say a long time. How long have you been, doing this in particular?
Over 30 years, we've just got a documentary that's come out actually. If you check it out on Sky, it's called Premier League World and it's a Brentford special. And if you ever look at it, there's a few bits of footage that I gave to them for that one from one of our coach trips that we did when we won the league in Cambridge in 1999. So we've been doing videos from 1999. We've got a video actually from 1992 when we went to the Anglo-Italian Cup. The one and only time that Brentford went to Europe was Ascoli in the Anglo-Italian Cup, and we've got like about 3 hours of video footage from that on the terraces, making the journey.
Classic stuff.
Honestly, classic stuff. So it makes us sound quite ancient, but we've been watching football from quite young. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So you got a lot of memories there with Brentford.
A lot of memories. I love it, mate. Tell you something. Like I said to you, I'm first and foremost, I'm a lower league football fan. I've only seen Brentford through the years, and I'm not putting them down, but any Brentford fan would say the same thing as well. We haven't been very good for a number of years. For years, when I first started to see them, 80s and 90s and stuff, the football that we played wasn't great. So for us, it wasn't about the game.
Yeah.
We used to go to football, and it's about everything around the game. So it was before the game, it was after the game, it was going up to the game. We used to have a little phrase to say, kick football out of football, because the football actually ruined the football.
I know what you mean.
What I'm saying? So like for us, it was always up before the game and after the game was a laugh, and then the game kind of ruined it, But obviously things have changed in the last 10 years. Matthew Benham, our new owner, came in, he put some money into the club, but he also didn't put loads of money in, but he cleverly worked out how we can actually rise up the table.
How long ago did that happen?
That's about 10 years, about 2010. He was putting it in kind of like, under the radar, maybe about £1 million a year and stuff like that, then £2 million, just putting it in just to keep us off the boil, because at that stage there was actually buckets outside this stadium, not this stadium because this is the new Brentford stadium, but the old stadium, which is only about a mile down the road there. Buckets, because we were in big trouble and we were, we could have folded pretty much. So the fans took over the club, rattling buckets, week on week to keep us going. And then to be fair to Benham, he came and he rescued us, put some money in to make sure there's no more bucket rattling. And then we started to grow slowly. But the main thing that he did was to work out a way that he can use his knowledge, because he's got this whole system in his business that he does, to basically find players that no one really knows about. All these kind of like unearthed jewels that you can find in different parts of Europe, even the different parts of the UK. Put them into Brentford, we'll scrub them up a bit, train them up a bit, make them play our way. Then a year later, they'll actually look like the business. So that's kind of what's really sort of set us aside from all the bigger clubs in the Championship, like your Derby Counties and your Sheffield Wednesdays and even your Aston Villas and your, who was there, Swansea last time. And, all these big clubs, we've got lots of money. We ain't got lots of money. So we've had to be a little bit cleverer about the way that we've gone about doing it. And, as fans, we weren't too sure about it to start off
That's
with.
what I was going to ask, Did the trust come immediately, or did you have to build that?
Well, of course you've got to build it. I mean, the thing is that, our club, we're lucky enough because, again, being a small shop club, we've got a good relationship with the club itself. So, knowing the owner, knowing, the chairman, knowing the directors of football. I mean, if you check out, again, Besotted is our podcast, prideofwest.london is our podcast. If you check, only about a month ago, I rang up the director of football, Phil Giles, and Rasmus Ankinson, and said, listen, end of season, do you want to come down the pub? We're going to do a podcast down the pub, live. I'll get 60 people down there. You want to come down there? But all right then. They came down the pub, directors of football up the front, us sitting down there chatting there, 3 hours, telling us everything. And again, you can check it out. It's definitely on prideofwest.london. A year ago, we had Thomas Frank, same thing again. Thomas came up to me and said, look, I want to be on your podcast. I said, listen, only if you come down the pub, because it's got to be in our zone. It's got to be in our environment. If I come down the training ground, it's going to be a different vibe. Yeah, okay. So he came down 3 hours again, told us everything down the pub. So that gives you a flavour of what we're like as a club. It's a small community type club.
Very transparent.
And we've got, a two-way relationship. We could say things to them, they could say things to us. We're not going to, we're not going to say eat everything the club says. We could still be critical of them, but you'd be constructively critical. You could sit around the table and say, we're not happy about that. And they say, to be quite honest with you, you're probably right about that.
Because they're giving you the chance to, openly communicate and be transparent about it.
That's right, which is good. And I think we've been lucky. I mean, even things like this stadium, they said to us, okay, tell you something. I know you guys are really, guys and girls are really, really nervous about moving from Griffin Park, right, which is a wicked small stadium. Some people might say it's rock up and this, that, and the other, but it was our stadium and it had an atmosphere. And I almost wish that Arsenal came to that stadium first, because it was just so small and different to anything else out there. So we were worried about coming to this stadium. We'd lose that kind of ferocious atmosphere that we had. A lot of away teams didn't like coming to Griffin Park because they said it was just like, it was too tight and it's quite ferocious. So to me,
it reminds me of Highbury as well, with the way you're describing it.
Right.
Tight, ferocious atmosphere.
I remember it's like that. But they said to us, so what do you want? So we had lots and lots of communication, lots of different groups feeding in the things that they wanted to have about this stadium to make sure that it was going to be right for them. And it's got its modern feel to it, but for us, we said the main thing for us is that, for me, it's got to have the atmosphere. It's got to have the low roofs. It's got to have the kind of a tightness about it. We don't want to have a big running track around the side. You've got to be tight in there as well. And to be fair, it's got a lot of the elements that we've got in it. And I think the first game we came back, the main one was the Bournemouth game in the playoff semi-final, where we were really nervous about what it was going to be like. And we came for that game. There's only 4,500 in here because of the COVID regulations. We were 1-0 down on aggregate. We 2-0 down on aggregate in the first 6 minutes. But honestly, the atmosphere in this place, it just whipped up. There's 4,500. It sounded like 50,000 in that place. It was absolutely fantastic. And I think a lot of fans after that said, I'm now convinced that this stadium is going to bring me, as a fan, what I want. Because that's all we want. All we want to do is to be able to come and see our team, cheer our team on. All the frills are kind of like whatever, as far as I'm concerned. But you can get them frills outside. For me, here is about watching football, enjoying it, and being with your mates.
Feeling as one.
That's right. So that's what it's all about.
And I want to touch on one thing you said, because as an Arsenal fan, it's a big thing for me. I love it, but it hurts me at the same time. We've seen an example of Leicester's ownership. At the end with the FA Cup, he comes out and the players, huddle around him and they welcome him, and they're very much one. We've seen Aston Villa's owner come out recently and, very transparently tell the Aston Villa fans what happened with the Jack Grealish deal and, why they did it and how it worked out. And you're here telling me about ownership directors inviting you to talks and transparent communication from top to bottom, feeling as one. I want to ask you a bit about Arsenal, because that is so far from what the reality is with us and Stan Kroenke and what's happened over the last 15 years. You've been watching football for a long time, so you've seen outside in what's happened. And what's your general thoughts on it now at Arsenal?
Well, it's interesting because I actually used to live in Stoke Newington, which was like,
local.
And literally, and I can hear the stadium from my backyard. If I went in the backyard, I can hear the people cheering. Obviously, you live in that part of London as well. Everyone around there is Arsenal. So I used to go out into the local pubs and I used to sit down and enjoy, watching the game. I'm a Brentford fan, I would sit there in my Brentford shirt. But as you know, it's a manners thing. You know what I'm saying? People say, well, you're coming to watch our game. Thank you very much. Shake your hand and have a pint and so on. So I used to get a feel for what Arsenal was like living in that area and how everyone liked it. And we're talking about sort of kind of the mid-90s. I think you won an FA Cup or something like that around that time. It was the mid of Wenger era. And there was actually quite a vibe about going around the club around that time. I think it's changed a lot since then. Right, it very much has changed a lot since then. I don't know whether or not it's the status of the club. I don't know whether or not it's the fact that TV just brings you to all different parts of the world and you start to lose that kind of closeness about it. But it doesn't seem to have the same. This is just, again, this is not a disrespect to Arsenal. You've asked me a question.
It's interesting to hear an opposition fan's point of view as well.
It doesn't seem to have that same kind of closeness and family kind of feel to it that it had in those days. Now, maybe Arsenal fans are looking to me and saying, well, you can't expect it to because we're a much bigger club than Brentford. You're not going to expect the people to come down the pub and do this. I'm not saying that I expect you to do that at all, but I'm thinking that maybe, as you become a bigger club and more people start getting interested in it and maybe buying into it and putting money into it, they might have different expectations of what they want from the club than what you might do as a fan or what other people might do. So they might be taking it in a different way to what you might, to what you're expecting, and all of a sudden you start seeing your club actually being pulled in directions where you as a fan thinking, I ain't going there. So that's when you start getting people saying it wasn't like this back in the day, like you know what I'm saying, oh, it was really, and then other people say, well, but back in the day we weren't winning anything. So I think there's a balance between that. I think we're lucky that we've got an owner who is a Brentford fan. He used to bunk off school to go and watch games, when he was, as a kid. That's what he used to do. So he is a proper Brentford fan, but also he wants to put money into the club, but also he wants to do it in the right way. So he doesn't want to do it like other clubs who sell their stadia because they spent too much money. He's like, we've got to spend our money in the right way. We'll spend as much as we need to, but we're going to do it cleverly. So we'll spend our money wisely, and that's what we've been doing. I think for other clubs, maybe because you run in the way that you do and you start getting more money, what's happened is that I wouldn't say the need to sort of kind of spend wisely isn't there, but they ain't used to doing it, you know what I'm saying? So they're used to doing it in their own way. And before you know it, the need for you to be successful is so heavy, all you keep doing is that you're concentrating on spending and doing things in a particular way, whereas you're losing touch with where the fans are and losing touch with of where the club is coming from. And I think that it's going to take a really good owner to step back a little bit and say, tell you what, actually maybe it's not about me winning something next year. Let me plan for the next 5 years. Let me tell everybody it's going to take 5 years this, but I've got a really good plan in place, and then put it in place and stick with it. Because if you do that, any club that I think that does that will actually really start to succeed. And what they'll do is that they'll get the success, but also they'll get the fans back on board as well, because they feel that they're doing it for the fans. I think that if you start running away and just doing your own things for yourself, and you start losing the heart of the fan base, the club might think, great, if they go, we'll just get more numbers, more bums and seats. But it doesn't really work like that, because if you start losing the soul of a club, eventually, you start losing a lot. And then if the club does at some stage start to slip away, you find those new bums on seats that have come, they'll be gone in a minute. And you need to really maintain the heart and soul of a club in whichever way that you can do.
I agree. I sit here and I feel like we've been abandoned in a sense, because I've been, going to Arsenal since '94, season ticket holder for a long time. So as a core fan from the 90s, I feel like we've been abandoned. Highbury, the old badge, and now finishing 8th 2 years in a row. We're in a very dire position, and we've got Brentford this Friday. That's why we're here talking. And yet again, I feel like we're starting a season underprepared. How do you feel Brentford's transfer window is going? Do you feel Brentford are ready for this season to come? Are you happy to go this Friday, or do you think there's still a few more adjustments that need to be made?
We'd have been happy to go straight after the playoff final. Listen, I don't want to say we're happy to be here, but a lot of Brentford fans are happy to be here. Like I said to you, look, down the road, you've got the river down there, we've got that place. Listen, we've had clubs, Scunthorpe, Aldershot, all these teams, Southend. Listen, we love playing all those teams because we've had brilliant years with that, but that's where we've come from. So if you're saying to me, right, you're going to play Arsenal, we're like, right, we're ready, whenever. Saying that, we've had the transfer window, and again, we thought what's going to be very interesting about Brentford, because obviously we've only had a certain pot to play with, and also in the Championship, so you can only attract certain players with a certain size pot, and also being in the Championship. But we thought it's going to be really interesting to see what happens when we go to the Premier League, because we'll have a bigger pot to play with, and also you're in the Premier League. So what types of players are we going to be able to bring in? Who are we going to get? So that's really, really interesting. And what we've done is that we've pulled in some players which have excited me. We've got Aja from Celtic, who is actually one of my friends, an Arsenal friend of mine actually, who messaged me. He's going, oh my God, how did you get him? I've been watching him for a few years, and he's a brilliant player. So players like him, a ball carrying centre back, who's a player that we a type of player that really fit in with our system as well. We've got Frank Onyeka, or Frank the Tank Onyeka. That's right, again. And when a player comes in, he came off the bench because he was on quarantine for a number of he was on quarantine for a number of weeks. And then eventually he came, they unveiled him, and he came and he was on the bench against Valencia on Saturday. He came off the bench, so he's only playing for 20 minutes. When a player within 10 minutes has got a soul, then that player is going to be a hero. You know what I'm saying? He came on, he running around the place like he was all over the place, just running all over the place. Boom, put the ball in the back of the net as well. So for me, I was excited about seeing Frank the Tank Onyeka as well. But some of our other players as well, like we've got Brian Mbumo.
Okay,
he was part of the infamous BMW, as with Ben Rama, Watkins, and Mbuma from a couple of seasons ago. But obviously, the B and the B, was it?
B and the W.
Yeah, B and the W. That's right. So they went. You know, Ollie Watkins went to Villa, great player, absolutely a lovely bloke and a great player, and gutted to see him go. But Ivan Toney came in his place, so all good.
And the record.
That's right. And Ben Rama went as well to West Ham, which was, you know, listen, cool. You know, with Ben Rama, we love Ben Rama, and we were a little bit gutted that he left because he's such a creative player.
Yeah.
So he left Mbeumo, on his own. So I think he was a little bit out of sorts on his own. For the season afterwards, and also he had COVID. He caught COVID at the back end of the previous season, and he didn't seem to quite recover from it last season. So he was all right last season, but he's come back this season and he looks like he's firing on all cylinders. So this league, I think, with the space that you may get and the type of players that he's going to play about, is going to be a real tester for him, because when he came in, I was told that he's one of the most talented players that we've ever picked up. So it's going to be interesting to see kind of how he spins and does his things in the Premier League.
Starts on Friday.
He's going to start on Friday, and Mbeumo, he's got to start. Unless he picks up an injury, he's definitely going to start on Friday.
All right, Frank the Tank.
Frank the Tank. He obviously came on the bench, and it depends on how fit he is.
Yeah,
I'm not Thomas Frank, so I don't know. But for me, if it came to choosing Frank the Tank, I put Frank the Tank Onyeka in the pitch, because he just excited me, and a lot of people got excited about him. But if he's a player that comes off the bench with 20 minutes to go to inject a little bit of energy in the back end of the game, then he's one of the players to do that as well.
Tony wasn't there against Valencia, was he? Is there an issue with him, or?
I think Ivan Toney, there's a few conspiracy theories flying
As always.
around, one of the conspiracy theories is that he had a little bit of an injury and they just wanted to keep him back just to make sure he's chilled.
Yeah.
Another conspiracy theory, it wasn't a conspiracy theory, they just thought, tell you what, we don't want to show Arsenal everything that we've got, and we all know what Ivan Toney can do already, so let's just rest him up for this game. So there's that. Those are the couple of sort of theories that are going out there. Ivan Toney will play on Friday. I think the thing about Ivan, and he's a wicked player, is that everyone knows about him.
Yeah.
People don't know about anyone or other players, but everyone knows about Ivan Toney. So we noticed when we played Man United in a friendly, which we drew to all of them, if you watch that game as well, there's 4 wicked goals from both sides, Man United and Brentford, 4 brilliant goals in that game. You can check that out. We only played it, a couple of weeks ago. But Ivan Toney played in the game, and Man United were on him, 2 players, 3 players on him the whole time. And Ivan plays in different positions. He's not only a striker, he plays out in the wing, he plays back in defence, he does everything. So he's a great all-round player. So for me, if Ivan is, we might find the situation that your guys are on Ivan, but if he's on Ivan, then that frees up a little bit of space for other guys.
I think Tony's a great test for Ben White. Ben White's obviously our big summer signing with 3 weeks to go. That's the majority of the outlay on him. What's your thoughts on Ben White? Do you have any? Have you seen much of him?
Ben White, Leeds United, mate. You know what I'm saying?
There you go.
Listen,
there you go. Massive year for him that year.
So I know Ben White. I saw him. I was up at Leeds for the playoff semi-final when they played Derby.
So is the hype real then? Someone that watches it week in, week out. Ben White hype real?
Okay, so Ben White, he won Player of the Season. He was in the team of the year, the Championship team of the year last season, during the COVID season. He was the Championship team of the year in that season. And yes, he's a good player. He's a really good player, and Leeds fans were desperate for him to come to Leeds, and they thought he was going to come to Leeds. They thought that Brighton would have released him, and they didn't release him in the end. And there was a lot of hoo-ha, should I say, between the Leeds and the Brighton fans, because that didn't happen. But yes, he is a good player. Yeah, he's a good player. And again, this is different for us because we never buy players at the top of that mark. So the 50 million for me, that was a killer. I just thought, Ben White, wicked player. Oh, 50 million, whoa.
That's when the pressure comes on top of it.
That's that. And
that's not his fault, but...
No, and that is a lot of money. So it's not fair for me to say he ain't worth 50 million. We wouldn't pay 50 million because we would have bought Ben White when he was 1.5 million. That's just the way that we do business. But different clubs do different business in different ways. You know what I'm saying? We'd spend 2 years developing him, or you 1 or 2 years developing him, whereas other clubs say, well, we've got the money, you can develop them, and we will just take them up and we'll pay the money when we know that they can actually do the business. You know what I'm saying? So I understand that, but Ben White is a good player. So it'll be interesting to see him come up against our attack.
That's my key battle. This Ben White against Tony, for me, is the key battle this Friday.
Right, so we shall see how that gets on. But in effect, and again, this is not a disrespect because Ben White's played obviously a year in the Premier League, we've got 2 players quite similar because obviously Tony is a championship player.
Yep.
To me, Ben White is a championship player because he's come from the championship.
Yeah.
Like, you know, so that's going to be a little bit of a battle to see how that plays out.
Yeah.
So I'll be interested to see how that plays out as well.
Definitely. Last but not least, let's have a prediction, Billy.
Listen, I don't like people doing
You
predictions.
don't like it. I don't like it either, but here we are.
No, I normally like it actually, but I think for now, people will ask me predictions all the way through the World Cup, for the European Championships, and I wouldn't do it because I was doing the touch wood thing, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I thought every time I predict, I always kind of, you could never get it right, you know what I'm saying? But I'm thinking on, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, listen, first of all, as Brentford, we're really happy to be here. We're really happy that Arsenal fans are coming down to Arsenal, to come down to Brentford. Loads of pubs around the area. There's no segregation. You can go wherever you want to. Just have a bit of manners, have respect for us, have respect for, we'll have respect for you. You can just enjoy yourself down Kew Bridge, down in Brentford. Honestly, in besotted.com, there'll be a little guide, a little pre-match. There'll be a pre-match or preview the day before as well, and also we do a little pub guide for you as well, give you a little pub crawl so you can come to any places. So we're pleased that you're coming down, enjoy yourself, come in the stadium, 2,000 of you be in the corner making noise. We ain't been to football for ages, man, so we need this. We just want to come down and enjoy ourselves. So for me, I'm really happy that Arsenal are coming down there in our first game of the season.
So you're predicting a great atmosphere then.
So I'm predicting a great atmosphere, and if we can get a draw out of this game, you know what I'm saying, I'll be really happy if we can get a draw. So let me go for a 1-1 draw for this one, and that will make me happy. That will probably make you happy as well. And you know, and then
we'll see.
Because no one's lost. Everyone's a winner.
Yeah. Well, you say that. I'm going for a 2-2, but with Chelsea and City around the corner after Brentford, I think that 1 point is not going to look good after 3 games. You know, we're looking at that Brentford game as our chance to take 3 and then go to the champions of Europe, then go to the champions of England and hope for the best. But I'm a bit up in there. I don't think we've done enough this summer, and I think we're going in underprepared, and I think it's going to be a 2-2. I think Tony's going to be a big problem for Ben White and either Pablo Mari or Rob Holding. It all depends.
Well, as we say in Besotted, we used to say it's a 46-game season. I mean, obviously not in the Premier League, it's a 38-game season, you know what I'm saying? But remember, it's a 46-game season, stroke 38-game season. So whatever happens in the first 3 games, doesn't matter. It matters what happens over the whole season.
Yeah, that's true. So you got a 1-1 from Billy, you got a 2-2 from me. Remember, besotted.com, and that's BEE for more Billy Grant, for more content, blogs, vlogs, video.
And prideofwest.London as well, because we're the Pride of West London.
There you go.
That's
there
right.
you go. A couple avenues you can find Billy, and we're going to do a lot more content throughout this season. Now Brentford are up and Billy's in town. Listen, you're going to get on my channel. We'll get you on AFTV again. Very good insight from Billy, and I would say good luck for this Friday, but I'd say good luck for the season instead. And
that's all good.
Let's both hope for the best.
Okay, thanks for having me on, man.
No worries, Billy. Take care, mate.
Thank you.